지금부터 한 OECD 관광과 AI 포럼을 시작하도록 하겠습니다. Now we would like to start the OECD Korea Forum on Artificial Intelligence in Tourism, promoting innovation, enhancing sustainability. I'm your host for today, Deborah Dong-eun Park, Deputy Director at the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism of the Republic of Korea.
Again, I am your host, Deborah Dong-eun Park. Before we begin, I would like to introduce our distinguished guests. First, we have Jang Mi-ran, Vice Minister of Culture, Sports and Tourism. Please give her a big round of applause. Next, we have Mr. Kim Hak-kong, Vice Governor of Gyeongsang-buk-do. Please give him a big round of applause. And again, we have Mr. Song Ho-jun, Vice Mayor of Gyeongju City. Thank you. On behalf of the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism and Korea Tourism Organization and OECD, I would like to thank you for taking the time to join us here at Gyeongju Hwabaek Center and online via Zoom. Due to time constraints, please understand that we cannot introduce all our distinguished guests one by one.
Now, I would like to give you a little bit of background information regarding the hosting of this forum on artificial intelligence and tourism. This forum is largely organized in line with Korea's 2025 APEC host year, which will focus on the priorities of connect, innovate, and prosper under the overarching theme of building a sustainable tomorrow. The OECD will provide support of Korea's APEC tourism priorities with a particular focus on artificial intelligence and tourism through the organization of a forum, workshop, and the development of a policy paper. As we kick off the collaboration with today's event, we aim to bring together key stakeholders from government, the tourism sector, and academia. Our focus will be to explore the opportunities and challenges posed by the diffusion of artificial intelligence in tourism, as well as the implications for businesses, destinations, and policymakers. And now, let us officially kick off this event with the welcoming remarks by Her Excellency Mi-ran Jang, the Vice Minister of Sports and Tourism of the Republic of Korea.
Let us invite Vice Minister on stage for her welcoming speech. Please give her a big round of applause.
Good morning, distinguished guests. I am Jang Mi-ran, Second Deputy Minister of Culture, Sports and Tourism. Welcome to the OECD Korea Forum on AI and Tourism. I extend a special welcome to the OECD Secretariat and international speakers who traveled a long way to Gyeongju from as far away as France, Portugal, the UK, Thailand, Japan, and Singapore. As the latest technologies such as Gen AI garner global attention, we have gathered today to assess their impact on the tourism industry and discuss how we can leverage them to create a better future for tourism. In fact, just the other day, out of curiosity, I asked Gen AI the following question: please plan a family trip to Gyeongju. In just a few seconds, AI suggested a pretty good itinerary that included transportation, historical and cultural sites, places to eat, and places to stay. For day one lunch in Gyeongju, AI recommended Tohamsan set meal course or grilled black pork, and for lunch on day two, wheat noodles or tofu stew. Since I told the AI I was traveling with my parents, it also minimized my travel time. Amazingly, AI can now do in real time what only a travel agent or skilled guide could do just a few years ago. It was in fact a moment of both surprise and concern. As such, we are at a new tipping point in the tourism industry. AI technology is revolutionizing every step of tourism, rapidly changing everything from the individual travel experience to the paradigm of the industry. AI technology has the potential to enhance travel experiences, dramatically improve operational efficiency for businesses, and contribute to sustainable tourism. However, I am also concerned about the results being faster and more efficient than humans. We also need to keep in mind that AI cannot do everything. The poster from today's event is a great example. Although Gen AI created the first draft, it was a human that commissioned the work and polished it with a final human touch. AI is a useful tool, but it's at its best when combined with human creativity and judgment. This is especially true when it comes to the tourism industry. Travel is an experience that connects people to places and people to people. That's why we say that tourism is all about human touch and hospitality. However, the question of what policy support and regulation should look like specifically is something we are still trying to answer. Is the information recommended by AI truly reliable? Are data ethics and privacy protected? How will advances in AI impact those in the tourism sector? What are the opportunities for the tourism industry? What are the roles of government and the private sector in this? How can we sustainably manage the disruption that AI technology will bring? In today's forum, we will explore these questions together. The Korean government will lead the question with the international community to ensure that AI technology can drive sustainable change in the tourism industry. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Vice Minister, for that kind remarks.
Next, we would like to hear a few words from the OECD's Deputy Secretary General, Mr. Yoshiki Takeuchi. Although he is unable to join us in person, he has kindly sent us a video message. Let's take a look.
Dear Vice Minister Yang, ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to welcome you to this fora on artificial intelligence and tourism. I would like to thank Vice Minister Yang and the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism for their excellent cooperation in organizing this event. Tourism directly contributes around 4% of GDP across the OECD, but its indirect economic and social impacts are much greater, stimulating economic activity in other sectors, creating jobs, promoting regional development, and fostering connection across countries and cultures. We have seen a strong but uneven rebound in global tourism since the pandemic. However, we need to sustain that momentum, and as tourism returns, tackle the challenges it poses for people, places, and firms. Perhaps the most crucial of these is managing growing tourism demand and the pressure this puts on infrastructure, the environment, and local communities in many countries. And digital tools, including AI, may hold some of the solutions. AI is already changing the way tourists plan, book, and experience travel. In Europe, 11% of travel agencies and tour operators are already using at least one AI technologies, such as chatbots and virtual assistants. As AI use becomes more widespread, it can help compensate for labor shortages in the sector and catalyze innovation in the delivery of tourism services. AI can also promote sustainable practices by using real-time data and automated decision-making to manage the visitors' flows and improve resources allocations through route optimization and better water management, for example. But AI brings new risks that must be managed. First, AI is changing the jobs and skills needs. The OECD estimates that the arrival of the AI, 27% of occupations are at risk of automation. This has potentially far-reaching consequences in a human-centric sector like tourism. Second, policymakers must work to strengthen cybersecurity. AI systems rely on extensive data collection and processing. This raises digital security and data protection issues, as well as privacy and ethical issues. And third, policymakers must work to avoid a widening digital divide. In particular, there is work to do to ensure small firms are not left behind. OECD data shows that large firms are 6 times more likely to adopt AI technologies than small firms, giving them a competitive advantage. Governments at all levels will need to work closely with the private sector to help tourism businesses, workers, and destinations to navigate these challenges. Yes, the OECD will support them. The OECD adopted the world's first international standard on AI in 2019, providing policymakers with guidance on AI. These principles were updated last year and are supporting the global AI agenda. And building on this wider work, the OECD is proud to have developed the G7 OECD policy paper on AI and tourism under the Italy's G7 presidency last year. The paper raises awareness of the opportunities and challenges as AI evolves, and the implications for tourists, businesses, destinations, and governments. Today's forum will take us another step forward in our efforts to harness the power of AI to support a sustainable, inclusive future of tourism sector. And it will, I am sure, make an important contribution as Korea hosts APEC this year under the theme, Building a Sustainable Tomorrow. Connect, innovate, prosper. So I wish you all an excellent discussion today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Secretary General, for your kind words. Now, we would like to invite the mastermind behind today's forum, Ms. Jane Stacy, Head of Tourism Policy and Analysis Unit of the OECD, to set the stage for today's discussion. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Jane Stacy to the stage with a big round of applause. Jane, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Kamsahamnida. Hello, everybody. So pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for having the OECD to join. And Vice Minister, very much pleasure to see you again and to work very closely with Korea on organizing the forum and on supporting also the APEC host year of Korea this year. It's a pleasure to be working with you, and thank you to you and your team also for the fantastic collaboration with you. And if I can say personally, it's always a pleasure to be back in Korea and to visit to Gyeongju for the first time. So very much a pleasure. So today the discussion is on this hot topic of artificial intelligence and tourism, and it falls on me to set the scene for our discussions today, building on the opening remarks that we've heard from Vice Minister Zhang and also from the OECD Deputy Secretary General. So let's dive straight in. I think the starting point that we are all aware of, and the reason we're here today, is how AI is rapidly developing and changing many aspects of our lives and the tourism economy. And the Vice Minister talked about this being a tipping point for the tourism sector, and I think that really is the case. It's perhaps useful to recall what AI is, how it works, and why the intense recent focus on something which has been around for a long time. So at the OECD, AI is defined as a machine-based system that infers from the input it receives how to generate outputs, such as predictions, content, recommendations, or decisions that can influence physical or virtual environments. It is, in other words, a mix of technologies that together are capable of tasks that typically require human-like intelligence. AI systems process vast amounts of data to identify patterns, to make predictions. The more data, the better, and perhaps more importantly, the more relevant and the higher quality the data, the better the outputs. We're all familiar with the term trash in, trash out. It applies very much in the AI context. And what we've experienced in the last few years has been a significant shift in the speed with which Gen AI in particular is evolving. And it's in this context that the OECD is supporting governments to shape safe, secure and trustworthy use of AI, as the Deputy Secretary General mentioned. The OECD adopted the world's first international standard on AI in 2019, and these principles, which were updated last year to reflect the rapid technological developments, these principles emphasize values such as inclusiveness, fairness, transparency, accountability, and respect for human rights. The principles are highly relevant for tourism, and the work that the OECD Tourism Committee is bringing a sectoral focus to these discussions. This work on AI and tourism started at the OECD last year, when we developed the paper on the topic, which was endorsed by G7 tourism ministers in November under Italy's G7 presidency. The paper showcases examples of how AI is being used already in the sector, as well as ways it could be used in the future. It discusses the opportunities, the risks that AI brings, and explores what it means for the different stakeholders in the tourism ecosystem: policymakers, businesses, destinations, tourists themselves, and we heard the experience from the Vice Minister as a tourist using AI. So today's forum is building on this work that has been done so far, and under the leadership of Korea and in the frame of Korea's APEC post-year. The intention today is to explore in more detail the issues that have been raised and what this means for businesses, for destinations, and for policymakers in particular. So as we will hear today, AI is emerging as a transformative force in the tourism sector and as a powerful catalyst for innovation to help address also the challenges, the wider challenges that the sector faces, whether that is the challenge to better manage visitor flows, to reduce the sector's impact on the environment, ensuring tourism benefits reach local communities, while also building a competitive, dynamic tourism economy that drives economic development. But as the DSG mentioned, AI also brings risks and magnifies existing challenges with implications for tourists, workers, businesses, and destinations which are looking to make the most of this technology. So let me highlight some of these applications and opportunities before then discussing in a little bit more detail some of the risks. So AI is changing the way tourists plan, book, experience travel, and offers significant potential to improve business intelligence through the use of data analytics, to enhance the visitor experience, to reach new customers with more personalized travel experiences and products, to improve operational efficiency in businesses by automating business processes, for example, and enhancing service delivery. And AI can help to accelerate the transition to the greener, more sustainable and inclusive business models by supporting strategic tourism planning and decision-making, by promoting sustainable practices, and also by helping to optimize resource allocation and visitor flow management. Perhaps to consider some of these opportunities in a little bit more detail, if we look at the business situation for businesses, AI offers the potential to optimize the operations, to particularly routine tasks, to develop new solutions also for tourism businesses from the automation of administrative tasks. TUI, for example, has been developing AI training for its employees, which in turn is supporting these employees to actually use AI tools in their daily tasks. And this upskilling, this training, this building of capacity within the sector is also an important dimension. AI is also being used to unlock new capabilities for strategic planning, evidence-based decision-making, and the development of new tourism practices and destination management solutions. If we look to Japan, for example, AI is being used to analyze large amounts of traveler and consumption data to inform the development of destination improvement plans and address some of the challenges that those destinations are facing. So these are two examples. Today, we have a fantastic lineup of speakers. We're going to be hearing a lot more examples. And for those of you in the room and connected online, we also encourage you to share what you are doing in the discussions. While AI offers significant potential, the extent to which it will ultimately transform our lives and tourism remains uncertain. But the uses and impacts are becoming increasingly tangible. Available evidence indicates that AI adoption rates across different parts of the tourism economy vary. So if we look, for example, to data from Europe, there's very limited data available, but data from Europe shows that travel agencies, tour operators are the most rapid adopters, with 11% using at least one AI technology, chatbots, virtual assistants, as the Deputy Secretary General mentioned. But this figure drops to 4% in the accommodation and food services sector. So we see a lot of variability across the tourism ecosystem. The purpose or the use of AI also varies in different parts of the sector and compared with other sectors. So marketing and sales are the first functions for which AI businesses are using AI, followed by business administration, and travel agencies and tour operators are again most likely to use AI, particularly for research and development. So interested to hear during the course of the discussions today if this reflects the situation here in Korea and in your countries also. OECD data also points to an emerging digital divide, as in general, 8% of enterprises used AI in OECD countries in 2023, and large enterprises were significantly more likely to use AI, 29% of large businesses. This data is not specific to tourism, but addressing this divide will be important to give SMEs in the tourism sector opportunities to access the benefits of AI. And this is one of the risks with AI. Slow and uneven diffusion risks widening this digital divide, particularly for small tourism businesses, which we know represent the vast majority of businesses in the tourism sector. AI is also changing jobs and skills needs. As the Deputy Secretary General mentioned, the OECD estimates that in general, 27% of occupations are at risk of automation from AI. And this varies significantly across regions, with a clear urban-rural divide emerging. So jobs in urban areas are more likely to be impacted by AI than jobs in rural areas. Oops, go back. Tourism jobs will also be impacted, and this poses a risk for job displacement, while workers require new skills also to use these digital tools. And this has potentially far-reaching consequences in a human-centric and a place-based sector like tourism. And as the Vice Minister said in her opening remarks, AI cannot do everything. The human touch remains important, so we have a high-tech, high-touch environment, and how this will evolve in the coming years will be extremely important. Another risk is that AI systems rely on extensive data collection and processing, and this raises digital security and data protection issues, as well as privacy and ethical issues, to avoid, for example, the manipulation of online reviews, misinformation from chatbots, so-called hallucinations, which I'm sure we've all heard of, from poor quality data, and possible increased discrimination of certain groups through the application of AI. There's also a need to train AI systems and algorithms to avoid, for example, that AI recommendation systems only promote already popular destinations and attractions, and increase pressure on these sites and surrounding communities. And finally, the environmental impacts of AI's high energy use are also significant and growing as AI becomes more widespread. So while AI can help optimize resource use within the sector, it also brings sustainability challenges. All of this to say that AI opens up many opportunities for shaping the future of tourism, but it also brings risks which need to be managed. And this has implications for all stakeholders within the sector. And that brings us back to our discussion today. First, robust measures are needed to protect data and to keep tourists and workers safe from unethical AI use. Second, the impact of AI on tourism jobs will need to be monitored to protect and prepare workers with the skills that they will need in the future. Third, tourism businesses are likely to need support to keep pace with rapid AI developments. And as AI matures, the regulatory environment for AI will evolve. And it will be important that tourism policymakers, but also other tourism stakeholders more broadly, actively monitor and engage with these developments. Tourism businesses of all sizes, but SMEs in particular, are likely to need guidance and support to navigate these evolving regulations and to comply with these measures also. And finally, policymakers will need to understand the opportunities, the risks, the barriers, in order to promote a dynamic innovation environment for our tourism businesses. So this is a very brief overview to set the scene. We'll hear more from our great lineup of speakers about concrete use cases, experiences, learnings from how businesses, destinations are already embracing AI, about the progress they are seeing with AI adoption in the sector, and about the shifts to more active use of AI of AI tools as these become more accessible and mind shifts within the sector shift towards the use of AI. These are discussions that will continue as AI continues to evolve, and it's important, as the Deputy Secretary General mentioned, that the public and the private sectors work closely together as the uses and impacts of AI in tourism become more tangible. The discussions today are organised around 3 main sessions. Session 1 will focus on the potential of AI for different types of tourism businesses across the tourism sector and for different business functions. Session 2 will focus on incorporating AI into the strategic development and management of tourism destinations and to promote sustainable business models. And Session 3 will draw together the strands from these 2 sessions to consider how to encourage the diffusion and adoption of AI technologies in tourism while managing the associated risks. I look forward to the discussions today. And again, I encourage you to be active in the discussions through the Q&A function for the colleagues who are joining online from around the world. And in the room, we will have a roving mic. And with that, I thank you very much and hand back to the Master of Ceremonies, Deborah.
Thank you, Jane, for providing us with valuable insights as we embark on today's journey.
So before we begin the session, I would like to call our distinguished guests on stage to have a photo session together.